Number 1.
Ballenger was last seen in Satellite Beach, Florida on June 26, 1977, his 20th birthday. That night he went on a double date to watch Star Wars. During the movie, Ballenger excused himself to go to the bathroom. He never came back and has never been heard from again. He was carrying about $15 in cash at the time of his disappearance. At the time of his disappearance, Ballenger was dealing with some personal problems. He was unemployed and abusing alcohol and drugs. He had run away from home once when he was 16, but was located after 3 weeks. Although police stated there's no evidence he was abducted and they think he may have chosen to walk out of his life, foul play is a possibility in his case as well. 2 close male friends of Ballenger's were badly beaten shortly before he disappeared. They lived near his home and may have been involved in the local drug trade. It's unclear whether the assault had anything to do with his disappearance, which remains unsolved. Ballenger is a graduate of Satellite Beach High School. He was declared legally dead 12 years after his disappearance.
Number 2.
Darlene was married to Earl Bamber in 2001. The couple resided in Zephyrhills, Florida with their young daughter. Darlene's loved ones have stated that the Bambers' marriage was abusive. Her mother said that Darlene filed for a restraining order against Earl during the summer of 2001. The couple continued to live together in their home in the 37,400 block of Terrain Court. Darlene phoned her mother at approximately 4 a.m. on August 13, 2001. She said that she had insomnia and was resting on the couch with her 4-year-old daughter. Darlene told her mother she planned to take her brown station wagon to the mechanic for a maintenance check soon. She also mentioned she needed a manicure. Darlene planned to take her child and relocate to the Dallas, Texas area later in the month. Her family said that she wanted to move away from Earl and decided to drive to Texas with her brother. Darlene did not have any immediate travel plans on the day of her disappearance. Darlene was last seen dropping her daughter off at a daycare center during the day. She has never been heard from again. Earl claimed first that Darlene had taken all her clothes and departed the residence in a Lincoln or Cadillac parked by the street. Later he said Darlene drove away in her station wagon and took their child with her, but authorities saw that their daughter was still at home. Darlene's vehicle was also parked in the driveway of their residence. Earl changed his version of his wife's disappearance several times before claiming that Darlene departed in an unknown vehicle. Earl claimed that she had called him several times after August 13, but authorities have been unable to confirm that statement. Most of Darlene's clothes and personal belongings, including her makeup, perfume and toiletries, were discovered inside the couple's home. Earl had an extensive criminal history, with 42 arrests for crimes such as for attempted murder, kidnapping, false imprisonment, felony possession of a firearm, grand larceny, theft and selling cocaine. He had been married 6 times, according to Florida state records. One of his wives died in a reported suicide. Another of Earl's former wives stated that he was abusive, but he was never convicted of domestic violence. Earl died of natural causes in April 2002 in the home he had shared with Darlene. He was 54 years old. His and Darlene's daughter was removed from his custody after Darlene disappeared and placed in the care of Darlene's mother. There have been no arrests in connection with Darlene's case, but her family believes foul play was involved. Her disappearance remains unsolved.
Number 3.
Kevin disappeared with his 20-year-old son, James Bamper. They left their Stuart, Florida home at 1 p.m. on July 15, 2014, and were last seen fishing at the North Jetty near Sailfish Point at 9 p.m. The next day at 5:30 a.m., witnesses saw the men's fishing gear abandoned. A passerby found Kevin's wallet in the same vicinity at 10 a.m. 6 days after the Bampers disappeared, James' badly decomposed body was found in some mangroves in the Indian River Lagoon, in the 300 block of MacArthur Boulevard on South Hutchinson Island. Kevin's black Chevrolet S10 pickup truck was parked in the Bathtub Reef Beach parking lot nearby, but there was no sign of Kevin himself, in spite of an extensive search. A photo of James is posted with this case summary. An autopsy could not determine the cause of his death, but there were no indications of foul play. Kevin and James were not good swimmers, and the area they were fishing in has slippery rocks and strong currents. Authorities believe the pair had an accident and both drowned. It's possible Kevin's body was swept out to sea. He is presumed deceased.
Number 4.
Barkley was last seen at her place of employment, the Pipe Furniture Store, in the 9600 block of 66th Street in Pinellas Park, Florida, on May 29, 1981. Her fiancé's family owned the store. A neighbor saw her arrive to start her shift at 10 a.m. She was working alone at the time of her disappearance. She usually called her mother every day during her lunch break, but that day she never called. Her older brother went to the store at 1:30 p.m. and she was gone. A television set was turned on, Barkley's cigarettes were on a desk, and her purse was also left behind. Heard from again. There were no indications of a struggle at the store, but a calculator and pencil were on the floor. Barkley's brother reported her missing at 7 p.m. when she didn't return to the home they shared. Barkley's beige four-door 1973 Plymouth Fury disappeared with her. The vehicle had a brown vinyl top, the Florida license plate number JZT780, and a sticker on the right side of the back bumper reading "Single and Loving It." A few days later, the car was found abandoned in a parking lot outside Studio 19, a rock club at the southwest corner of US Highway 19 and State Road 60 in Clearwater, Florida. The driver's side window was open and the keys were in the ignition. Some of Barkley's belongings were inside the vehicle, which was low on gas. A photo of the car is posted with this case summary. A witness reported seeing a man driving Barkley's car at a self-serve car wash on US 19 in Port Richey, Florida after her disappearance. A sketch of the suspect is posted with this case summary. He is described as Caucasian, with dark blonde hair and a few days' growth of light-colored facial hair. One of his legs was wrapped in a bandage, and the man offered the witness money to wash his car for him, saying his injury made it hard for him to do it himself. He would have been in his mid to late 20s in 1981 and was 5'10" and 160 pounds. Mark Cutler matched the description of the man at the car wash, and he had bragged that he knew what happened to Barkley. When police questioned him, he maintained his innocence, and the witness couldn't pick him out of a lineup. Cutler died in 2011. Another possible suspect, the serial killer James D. Winkles, died on Florida's death row in 2010. Barkley was very close to her mother at the time of her disappearance. Her mother has kept the same phone number since 1981 in case her daughter tries to get in touch with her. Foul play is suspected in Barkley's disappearance. She is presumed to be deceased.
Number 5.
In 1988, Barrett purchased a 1986 Honda motor scooter in Glendale, California, and set out to see the rest of the country, sometimes staying with friends and sometimes camping in a green two-person dome tent. She carried her supplies in a plastic milk crate on the back of her scooter. She lived off her Social Security benefits. By November, she was staying in Sarasota County, Florida. When she had the money, she camped at Myakka River State Park and Oscar Shearer State Park. When she was low on money, she camped in her tent in the woods just off the road. On January 3, 1989, Barrett withdrew $260 from an ATM in Sarasota, Florida. The next day, she wrote to her sister in Los Angeles, saying she was going to North Florida. This is the last time anyone in her family heard from her. On January 9, Barrett's scooter was found leaning against a tree about 100 feet north of State Road 66 near Sebring, Florida, 107 miles east of her last known location. It appeared as if the scooter had crashed, and its tag and the milk crate she kept her supplies in had been ripped off. Barrett's tent and the flags she normally used to decorate her campsites were missing. There was no sign of her at the scene, and she has never been heard from again. According to her family, Barrett had a very confrontational nature and would not have backed down from a fight. She had also stated that if she ever got sick, she planned to go into the woods and die. Authorities believe she may have been robbed and killed. Her case remains unsolved.
Number 6.
Barrington was last seen at her place of work, DeSoto Memorial Hospital, which is located at the 900 block of North Roberts Avenue in Arcadia, Florida. She clocked out of work at approximately 6 p.m. on October 10, 2002, and has never been heard from again. She may have been seen at 6:30 p.m. at a road construction site along US Highway 17, near Carson Street within DeSoto County, but this sighting has not been confirmed. On October 11, the day after Barrington's disappearance, her silver four-door Kia was found stuck and abandoned 3 miles from the hospital, northbound on Highway 17, near where she was allegedly seen. Her purse and most of her other personal belongings were inside, but her pager and car keys were missing. Her parents reported her missing that same day. In July 2004, over a year and a half after Barrington disappeared, authorities charged her boyfriend, Thomas Jesse Cruz Jr., with second-degree murder in connection with her case. Cruz and Barrington have a young son together and shared joint custody of him at the time of her disappearance. They had a tumultuous relationship, and police had been called to their residence more than a dozen times to investigate complaints of domestic violence. They had been ordered not to contact one another, but both of them continually violated the orders. Barrington was scheduled to testify in court against Cruz on October 11, the day her car was found. Authorities believe Cruz killed Barrington the night of her disappearance and dumped her body somewhere in Hardee County, Florida. He was convicted of her murder in September 2006 and sentenced to life in prison. A photograph of Cruz is posted with this case summary. Barrington resided on Platte Road in Wauchula in Hardee County at the time of her disappearance. That county's authorities are handling the investigation, and agencies name Wauchula as the place of her disappearance. Although her remains have not been found, foul play is strongly suspected in her case due to the circumstances involved.
Number 7.
Basham was last seen in St. Petersburg, Florida at 10 p.m. on February 27, 1984. He left his wallet and clothing behind at home and missed an important meeting the next day. He has never been heard from again. He disappeared 2 days after he was released from jail on theft charges. A few days after Basham disappeared, John Edward Bellas and Jeffrey Austin were accused of his murder. Investigators determined Basham was murdered by Bellas in the 2700 block of 18th Avenue North on the night of his disappearance. The motive was supposedly because Bellas thought Basham had snitched to the police while he was in jail. Bloodstains, hair and electrical wire were found in the house where the murder allegedly took place, and the carpet had been ripped out of one of the rooms. According to witnesses, Bellas beat Basham on the head with a hammer, strangled him with copper wire, bound his body with the wire, and then transported it to the Berks Road area north of Clear Lake in Dade City, Florida, before burying it in a shallow grave in an orange grove. Austin cooperated with the prosecution and pleaded guilty to more than half a dozen felony charges, including being an accessory after the fact to Basham's murder. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Bellas pleaded guilty to second-degree murder 1 week before his trial was to begin and was sentenced to 25 years in prison. He tried to help authorities find the body, without result. He served his sentence and has been released from prison. Basham's remains have never been found.